Violence in conflicts worldwide increased or have increased by 25% last year, with the highest number of cases in the Central African Republic, Congo, Haiti, Somalia, and South Sudan, according to a UN report released on Thursday. The 16th annual UN Secretary General's report on conflict-related sexual violence, released in 2024, documented over 4,600 cases of sexual violence perpetrated by state and non-state actors as a weapon of war, torture, terrorism, and political oppression, a shocking 25% rise from the previous year. Our reporter Mamadi Barrow tells us more of that in this report.
Sexual violence in conflict, a brutal tactic as insane as war itself, continues to be wielded to terrorize, subjugate, and forcibly uproot communities, with women and girls bearing the heaviest burden. In a stark revelation, the United Nations Secretary General presented the 16th annual report on Thursday, detailing how in 2024 alone, over 4,600 survivors endured systematic sexual violence perpetrated by both state and non-state actors as weapons of war, torture, terrorism, and political oppression. The report covers 21 countries for which information verified by the United Nations is available. Women, girls, men, boys, including persons with diverse sexual orientation or gender identities, racial and ethnic minorities, and persons with disabilities were among the victims, ranging in age from 1 to 75 years old.
The report marks a staggering 25% increase from the previous year, with the highest number of cases recorded in the Central African Republic, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Haiti, Somalia, and South Sudan.
A prominent trend highlighted in the report relates to various forms of sexual violence perpetrated in formal and informal detention settings, including as a form of torture, humiliation, and information extraction, primarily against men and boys, but also against women and girls. Non-state armed groups use sexual violence to consolidate control over territories and natural resources and to perpetuate extremist ideologies. The report also exposes that proliferation and widespread availability of small arms and light weapons continue to fuel sexual violence across most contexts. Additionally, massive displacement and food insecurity expose women and girls to heightened risks of sexual violence, abduction, and conflict-related trafficking in person for purposes of sexual slavery and exploitation is another trend noted in the report, including a terrorist group under Security Council sanctions.
To quickly summarize what has been included, 63 state and non-state parties are listed in the annex of the report, credibly suspected of committing or being responsible for patterns of rape and other forms of sexual violence in armed conflict, which is on the agenda of the Security Council. The report also introduces for the first time an appendix whereby parties are put on notice for potential listing in the next report of the Secretary General.
25 years after the adoption of the landmark Security Council Resolution 1325/2000 on women and peace and security, women continue to constitute the overwhelming majority of victims, 92%. In most cases, extreme physical violence accompanied sexual attacks, with reports of summary executions of victims after rape. Despite high growing demand, humanitarian access was severely curtailed and blocked by parties to conflict. Usually, victims were unable to reach healthcare providers and other critical needs. The report also calls for sustainable funding through the UN's Multi-Partner Trust Fund on conflict-related sexual violence and the deployment of women's protection advisors in all relevant situations of concern in line with Security Council Resolution 2467/2019. Reporting for Eyeafrica News, I am Mamadi Barrow.